This episode is brought to you by Derek Gerard Photography. Derek has been a professional for over 20 years and covers everything from weddings, corporate shoots, meet and greets and VIP events. He was also one of the club photographers at Dundee Football Club for 13 years. Derek will travel all over Scotland and beyond to capture your smiles, and as a wee thank you to listeners of this show, he'll give you a 20% discount when booking. All you have to do is get in touch via his Facebook page, Derek Gerard Photography, and mention the code CF26. Now, this could save you something like £300 from the cost of your wedding photography, for example. He's a great guy. He's photographed some of my shows in the past, some of the events I've done. I've met the guy. He's a legitimately brilliant photographer and a lovely gentleman, and we thank him very much for sponsoring the show. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Stop Watering Dead Flowers with me, your host, Chris Forbes, in association with the Stand Comedy Club. A little plug once again at the start of this episode for our live show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival 2026. We're doing a live show on Thursday, the 20th of August at the Stand Comedy Club in Edinburgh. Come on down. The first live show was a great laugh. We want to see more people there, bringing along your own Dead Flowers stories. We'll share them with the panel of guests. We'll have a right good laugh. So check it out. Tickets are available now. Welcome back once again, and a big shout out also to our sponsor, Derek Gerard Photography.
Stop watering dead flowers.
Delighted to say this week in the garden we have the legendary Fred Macaulay. Fred, I'd normally do a bit of a, in a way of introduction, kind of professional sounding start to podcast, but all I want to start with is, how was Boston? You were out there. What was talk us through it? I mean, even without the football, was it just electric?
So there was an event getting organised, and this was the third of three events that have spanned nearly 3 decades.
Yeah.
The first one was in Paris in 98, and the second one was in Munich in 2024, and the third was in Boston in 2026. So you can see the theme was Scotland at major finals.
Yes.
And the organisers got in touch, and I said, listen, I'm not that keen on going to Trump's America.
Yeah.
Count me out, right? Because as somebody that went to see an awful lot of Scotland football matches a long time ago, I'm not really going to games anymore. So I said, probably wouldn't go to the match. So have a great time. And they came back with a very pleading and just enough praise of my capabilities for me to go, oh, all right then. So we did an event on Friday night, and it was phenomenal. I mean, we had 800 of the Tartan Army, all in good voice, all in good fettle. I co-hosted. Sadly, Ali McCoy couldn't be with us because he's otherwise engaged for the next 6 weeks. So it was Greg Hemphill.
Oh, yes.
And it's the first time Greg and I have worked together like that in a long time.
Right, good fun.
And it was just great. And the generosity of the Scots, which I personally know is phenomenal. We raised $2.3 million on Friday for Street Soccer Scotland, which is a fantastic charity. So, and it was just such a delight to be involved. I would say that at midnight on Friday, Greg Hemphill and Fred Macaulay were the two sober Scots in the whole of the eastern seaboard.
Is that right?
Yes. So with great guests right, from football and showbiz. And I'll just tell you this, in Munich, after at the after party, I said at one point, I can't remember what time it was, I said, I wasn't really very drunk, but I'd had a couple of beers, and I left when Martin Compson was trying to kiss me full in the lips. And Martin came up as a guest. Martin was completely sober when he came up on stage on Friday, walked onto the stage and kissed me full in the lips. So it was nothing to do with his drunken state 2 years ago.
I was at the Munich event.
Of course you were.
And it was incredible.
Yeah.
I'd turned up a wee bit late. Me and my brother had just flown in. I might have been a wee bit tipsy by the time I got there. But the collection of assembled kind of stars and fans just was such an electric thing. But I hadn't realised that had started back in France.
Yes.
So how novel that there's been two back to back.
I know.
And was it you and Ali that did it all the way back in
Well,
France?
no.
as well?
What happened in France was that it was in a place called the Buddha Bar,
Right.
and Ali and I were doing our TV thing, so we weren't considered as hosts or a presence on stage at that.
Right, right.
But we turned up, and it was a rammy, and Rory Bremner and Alistair McGowan were kind of coing,
Okay.
and being, in fairness to the lads, they were doing as best a job as possible, but it was Coisty and I should add, had a long glass of lunch, and we pitched up and we took to the stage. Whether we were asked it or not, I'll never know. And so we became part of the legendary evening.
I bet. Yeah. Like Queen turning up at Live Aid and saving it.
So yeah, I mean, I'm so lucky to have been involved in those three incredible events.
That's wild. And then what you said jokingly to me before we even got here, you weren't going to any of the games though, even though you were in Boston.
Yeah.
And is there any sort of regret there that you didn't stay on to perhaps try and see one or be out there for the game, or were you quite happy to do the bit, experience it, and get home?
It hasn't really bothered me.
Yeah.
I landed yesterday and was straight onto Radio 4 to talk about my experience of not going to the game. And I described what I have is not FOMO. I have FOTB, FOBT, fear of being there, right? I've suffered all the stress and heartache a man can handle, right? Because my first Scotland game was against Czechoslovakia in 1973. Right. We won 2-1 and we qualified for the World Cup. And I naively thought, this is it. This is what happens. But I've been through an awful lot of heartache, a lot of incredible games as well. Equally, you know, at Anfield when we beat Wales again to qualify, Dalglish and Jordan, and Big Jim Holton, I remember from Czechoslovakia, 6'2", eyes of blue. Big Jim Holton's after you was one of the chants.
That's great then. These chants that kind of exist now, but we never realised they'd existed long before our time for other players.
I know. But I have to say, the current crop of songs are excellent.
Yeah.
No Scotland, no party.
It seems like America's just fallen in love, certainly Boston right now, with seeing the Scots singing, you know.
And I have to say, from a stand-up point of view, it's just been amazing because, you know, coming through customs, not a problem. We were, you know, you're maybe 15 minutes in the queue, 2 or 3 minutes with an officer that's no idea that there's a soccer happening. I just imagined somebody turning up and them saying, "So who are you with?" "I'm with the Tartan Army." "Army?" Have you got a concealed weapon? "Oh, aye, darling. Have I got a concealed weapon?" Not all the time.
I've seen a clip as well. They must get asked all the Americans just loving the Scottish element of it, of a lassie in America going up to a guy saying, "Oh, what do you got under your kilt?" And him going, "The Loch Ness Monster." And she's going, oh my God. So,
as I've been saying to the American ladies, a true Scot will never tell you what he wears under his kilt, but sadly he will show you at the drop of a hat.
Very true.
Is that a semi-automatic? Well, it's a semi, but it's not automatic. So, and I have to say, Chris, as somebody that follows Scotland, Adidas the tills must be ringing, because I would have said 95% of the guys there had the away strip on.
That right?
And not just the guys. This is something I emphasised yesterday on the Radio 4. Couldn't believe how many families there were. Yeah. Munich, a lot of dads and sons. But this one, off to America for the family holiday, and kiddies, wee kiddies, and they're all kitted out.
It's nice that it's more family, but and they've done so many nations and so many different versions of tops, third kits and goalkeeper kits, and they're no daft.
But I think I've seen an awful lot of hellish Scottish away kits, second and third strips, but this is a good one.
It's good.
I like it.
Nearly as many strips as Scottish World Cup songs. They seem to be taking a bit of a beating.
Yes. Although I saw on Sky TV this morning that an English guy singing a song, and I didn't have time to record it. I wanted to put it up and just go, "Nice try."
Oh man.
But and our own Roscoe.
Yes,
Roscoe came to the gig
with his version of the Cheers song with the orchestra. That's wild.
So
he was over at your gig in Boston?
Yeah. Brilliant. So what I'll do is, after we've done this recording, Dave Flynn, who produces Breaking the
Yeah.
News or execs it, Dave has an idea for getting various people to add a few lines.
Oh, I see.
So I was up at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, Friday morning, and I went down to the Cheers pub, and I'll give you my 2 or 3 lines, okay?
Yeah,
And you can maybe add it into this.
that'd be great.
And then bizarrely, right, just to finish my Boston story, I was walking back up at 8 a.m. back to my hotel to meet some people for breakfast, and I saw a couple standing, man and wife, roughly the same age as me, and I did a double take, and it's a guy that I started university with in 1974. I mean, we've been in touch. I saw him fairly within the last 10 years a couple of times, but of all, and it was just like, what are you doing? 8 o'clock in the morning. They were looking for water, I have to say, not drink.
Well, it's lovely to get a bit of an insight into being over there in Boston. For those of us that can't go as well. Looks incredible. Hopefully it continues to go well.
I've checked my diary. I can go back out for the semi-final.
Yeah. Well, we could meet England, is that right, in a semi-final?
Well, ask any English person, because they've worked out who they're going to be playing in the final, never mind the semi.
We'd normally do like a small list of credentials or something, but you'll be one of the few guests where we don't need to really tell people who you are or what you've done. As we say, a legendary Scottish performer. Comedy, I guess, stand-up was the jumping off point, though, to then end up doing presenting and all manner of different TV, radio. But stand-up still, would you say, is the kind of first love out of all the things in entertainment?
Yeah, if somebody asks me what I do, I'm a stand-up.
Yeah.
And everything just came along because of that. That's the sort of, that's
the
backbone of it.
I used to love seeing you when I was starting out, and it was always exciting for comics starting out. If you're like, that's Fred Macaulay, like TV's Fred Macaulay, and you get to do a gig. But there would be that knowing way of, there's people in the audience thinking, that's Fred Macaulay we know off the radio. Seeing you doing stand-up and doing like the Donald Duck routine when you're like, it's not BBC Radio Scotland now.
It's that Donald Duck and Porky Pig.
Yeah. And seeing people going,
that's one of my favourites.
Yeah. It's incredible. But you've been a kind of at the top level of stand-up for so long. Is there a kind of a secret to that? I mean, you just seem to have been there for as long as we can remember.
Well, I mean, I was kind of late to the game.
Yeah.
I decided when I was turned 30 that I was not going down the career path that I had envisaged for myself, and I thought I need to do something about it. And over the next couple of years, things started to happen with the Funny Farm.
Yes.
Stu, Bruce Morton, Parrott, and they then invited other comedians to kind of join in. And that was the first thing that we started to do up here. But it became, there was no circuit in Scotland. There was nothing. So we had to put on gigs ourselves. So I had to get myself down to London. And I started doing that in the early 90s.
Right. So did you live down there for a while?
I didn't. I had an accommodation. I rented a room in a flat. And then, but I initially just stayed with friends.
Yeah.
And then because I'd maybe be spending 15 nights a month
Right,
away from home.
Because that's where you had to be for the gigs.
You had to be there. So,
was there folk that you started out with down there that you still see and know? Or?
Yeah. So my sort of team would be, and these are names that maybe don't mean a lot to folk that listen to the podcast, but Bob Mills was one of the compares, Nick Revel, Dominic Holland, still a good pal. Joe Brand, Sean Hughes would have been just coming off the circuit. Similarly, Frank Skinner. But I mean, the headliners in those days, well, the headliner above everybody else was Lee Evans. I did the warm up for Lee's first ever video. Yeah. Such a humble but just incredibly energetic and brilliantly funny guy with a mind that can remember all these little gags. It wasn't like there was routines. So that was the Comedy Store in those days, and I did that until I got the radio show in 1997. So it was pretty much 5 years up and down to London.
That's incredible. It's cool to hear that there's still, because I always think you do come through with a group of people. It's like,
Yeah.
who did you come up with, I guess, as people say, and maybe me, Mark Nelson, Ray Bradshaw, and
Yeah.
there's always like a team of people that start at the same time, but then maybe only 4 or 5 of you that stick doing it.
Yeah.
So it's funny to hear that was your kind of squad.
John Maloney as well.
yeah,
Still keep in
yeah.
touch with John. And Tim Clark, I don't know if I mentioned Tim.
Right.
Tim was a brilliant MC, and he was a few years older than the rest of us,
Right,
but
right.
he's still gigging. Davy Johns.
Oh,
Mickey Houghton.
Yeah.
Mickey doesn't work so much these days. He's nicely retired, but still comes out now and
Yeah.
again. But yeah, good pals.
It's wild. And in terms of this podcast, when you saw the format of it or heard what it was about, was your initial reaction, oh good, I've got loads of these, or are you someone that's quite good at just letting things go?
I think, yeah, I guess I can let things go.
Right.
Because in my life, if there's ever been things that have really been bothering me, I've been able, just the advantage of having a few years ahead of you is that you can think, right, I've had this kind of experience before and I know it's going to pass.
Yeah.
You know, it can be the thing that is all consuming in your head, but in maybe a few weeks or a few months, depending on the gravity of it, time will pass and it'll go further back in your mind. I had one the other day, I had a bit of road rage with somebody and it was really concerning me when I got home, but then I was thinking, oh, no, that's only going to last a couple of days. It'll be gone. Aye.
Yeah, I'm still striving to get to the point where I'll let things...
Can you park it away?
Yeah, I feel like I'm holding on to a lot of stuff, so I'm learning from other people on this show and guests.
Having said that, it was quite easy to remember things from childhood, career, work.
There's some things that we just can't shake.
That you can't know.
And traditionally, we always start with childhood. So
Right.
when we go there, if there was a few kind of weeds growing up, was there one in particular that stuck out for you?
So there was a couple of things immediately came to mind.
Right.
And because of my dad's occupation, I changed school 3 times.
Right.
So, and people, oh, that must have informed your comedy, you know, needing to make friends or become, you know, well known within the new school and things like that. The first one, the embarrassing thing that I wish I'd never done, and most of these stories that I'll tell you are based on the fact that I was just an inveterate liar.
Yeah.
And so when I was in secondary school, moved from Blairgowrie High School to Perth Academy.
Right.
And that was a pretty dreadful experience because at Blairgowrie High School, I had been in the sort of top stream.
Right.
And consequently, when you went into second year, you were put into a Latin class.
Right.
And because I, as Peter Cook once said, I had the Latin, when I went to Perth, they put me to Perth Academy.
Right.
And we lived in a housing scheme in Scone.
Right.
And everybody else in the housing scheme went to Perth High.
Oh, man.
So I was the only boy in the housing scheme that went to Perth Academy, different uniform. And I had to get the bus to school.
Right.
So I'd go down to the bus stop and there'd be maybe 20 or 30 kids in high school uniform and this...
You're going to stand out.
This scholar. I mean, I wore a cloak. I mean, I was I was bringing it on myself, let's be honest. And there weren't too many other kids with cravats, I'll be honest. But and they said, now there are 2 buses going to Perth, one to the high school and one to the academy, and don't get on the wrong bus.
Yeah.
And you know, there's 20 kids at a bus stop and a bus comes and there's no sign of any other traffic and the 20 odd get on the bus. And I know it's going into Perth and I don't know how big a place Perth is really. And I got on the bus and it was just stupidity, right? So anyway, I eventually found my way to the right school and we got in and I think it was about day 4, it was PE.
Right.
And Perth Academy was a rugby playing school. I'd been at a football playing school, so I was never really being considered for rugby. And I can remember being in the changing room and a couple of guys being friendly enough saying to me, do you play rugby? I don't play rugby, But I skied. I skied since I was about 10. And they said, and what else do you do? I said, I golf. And they went, all right, Pete's a golfer. And Pete goes, what's your handicap? I didn't even know what handicap was. So I said, 3.
Oh, wow. A child prodigy.
3. And they're going, Jesus Christ, this guy's 12. This guy's off 3. You can't be off 3. I'd never even played more than 9 holes. Another thing about my golf in those days was the shafts there were wooden shafts on my clubs. They were hand-me-downs. And my dad found a 7-iron once that had a steel shaft, right? So it looked modern and new. I played every shot with a 7-iron, right? That's it's meant to be 3. Playing with a 7-iron is pretty good.
You know, it was that consistency that got your handicap down, and just the 7-iron.
As soon as I remembered that, last night when I was remembering that, you know, and I was thinking other embarrassing things like shit in my pants and that kind of thing, which I didn't start doing till I was 18. But that the feeling came right back, just because there's no way out.
Were people trying to get you out for a game, like Fred, and you're like, oh, I've got an injury, you know, a bad elbow.
I've given up. I mean, when you've won 4 majors, there's no point in still playing on, but you know, if you want some tips, give me a shout.
It's so hard when you're at school. You just want to fit in and be impressed, and you're 3.
Yeah.
Wow. It must have been a thing of lore throughout the school, hearing about this new guy.
Kid. But I think they had me marked as just the liar. Yeah, we've heard about him. Blair Gowrie's been in touch. So look out for this guy.
That's wild. Blair Gowrie, I was just mentioning Blair Gowrie as well. I think of Jim Smith as well. Always talks about Blair Gowrie.
Yeah.
So two. You can't imagine 2 kind of comics coming from the same type of region.
I know. I mean, there's more golfers than comics.
Yeah. That's wild. 3.
Yeah.
How's your handicap these days?
I'm near a 4 now.
Yeah.
I've gone up. No, I'm a way up. God, it's 16.2 or something like that just now. Is the World Handicap Index. It's all, but yeah, it's just because I've not been putting cards in.
No.
And we've just lost a number of people. This old guy's talking about handicaps.
Moving on from childhood then, as you say, there's probably lots you can pick out from childhood. If we move into the career phase, after you've moved out of school here, you've broken free. As you mentioned, you're not someone that started comedy until a bit later on. So did you have a lot of different jobs before comedy, or did you find yourself in that one particular job and were in it for a while?
Yeah, so university was in the 70s.
Right.
I wasn't a good student. And I struggled to get my degree, and then struggled even more to get a job. And I had majored, as they would have said in the States, in accountancy and finance.
Right.
So I tried to become a chartered accountant. None of the big CA firms were bothered about employing me, but there was a wee place in Perth decided to take me on as an articled clerk. And I stuck with them for just over a year, sat the Part 1 exams for chartered accountancy, failed them, and I just thought, this isn't for me. So wasn't really sure what to do. Then the chairlift company in Cairngorm were advertising for an assistant accountant.
Oh, really?
And as I said earlier, I'd been a skier. I was a reasonable skier. And I thought, this sounds like the dream job. I'll go up there and I'll maybe do my BASI instructor exams while I'm up there. So I applied for that and I got it, which leads me to lie number 2.
Oh, dear.
So I got up for the interview and drove from Scone into Perth up to Aviemore. I think I stopped near Pitlochry for a cup of tea or something like that. Got up and then had to drive up to the hill.
Yeah.
And was greeted there by the company accountant, Ian Malcolm, who is still called the boss. And he said, how did you get it? I said, I drove up. He said, how long did that take you? I said, an hour. It's just, what the fuck are you saying? Right? Because I hadn't really been, I'd set off and give myself loads of time, right? And he said, an hour? What kind of speed were you doing? And I said, I can't really remember, but I mean, it was a clear road and all the rest of it. And then he probably looked at my CV and, I see you've got a handicap of 3. So that was lie number 2. But it was just, it's because I didn't know. And I just plucked numbers from the air, which is not a good thing to do if you want a career in accountancy.
Wow.
So...
Just trying to sound impressive and knowing things.
So then I worked for them for 3 years.
Right.
And then met Aileen and knew it was going to be serious. So there was nothing for her to do up in the the hills. So she was a medical secretary in a hospital here in Glasgow. So there was another job came up for a company accountant for a big retail group. And bizarrely, I think just based on my experience, I got that job. And I stuck with that for 10 years and rose up through the ranks within the company. Just was it hard work.
Was it throughout the time, even in the job, you were starting to notice comedy or realise comedy, or was it only when you realised you didn't want to do that anymore that you thought, I'll give comedy a go?
No, it was a real mix of both because, you know, with a good social circle, and I have to say the guys that I was at school with that I'm still pals with now, the one thing that linked us all together was a sense of humour.
Right.
And then I would particularly enjoy if I could embellish a story or something like that, and I enjoyed the laughter. And then by not being a qualified CA, and our company was bought over by a PLC,
right.
So the disciplines within a PLC were pretty demanding. I had a good job. I was the company secretary by that time, and group financial accountant, and I turned 30, and I could remember when I was at uni, when I was 20, thinking, why am I studying this? I want to be in entertainment or something like that. And I could do a few impressions when I was a boy, and I thought I really need to do something about it, because when I was 30, I thought, gosh, and with a couple of kids by then, if I'm 40 and I've not done anything about it, then that's, you know, that would be really sad to think. I wish I'd. So that's when I decided to do something about it.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, less extreme in terms of age and where you were in life, but that was kind of my thought process when I was sports daft, as you know, and played basketball and thought I was going to be involved in sports in some way in America. And even when I came back, I went to uni, but it was to do sports science and physiology. And
where did you do that?
At Glasgow Uni.
Right.
And quickly started to fail because I did my last year of high school in America, so that their equivalent to Hires was an SAT.
Right.
But the SAT over there was only based on English and math.
Right.
And I got into Glasgow Uni based on that, but the course, sports science physiology, was, you know, chemistry and physics, which I hadn't even done at higher level. I hadn't even done them at standard grade. I didn't pick them. So it was quickly evident that I had no place in that course.
Right.
Switched to one of the only ones that would take me, which was geography. And coming to the end of that, I thought, what am I going to do? The old joke of you'd have to become a geography teacher, really, it had nothing to do with geography. And the whole time thinking, I'd love to try something before I don't. So then I had a very patient mum, but went back to college to then do an acting course. But it is amazing when you feel a need to do it. You feel like if I don't do it, I will regret it. So it's...
You did acting or an acting course, but what was the first stand-up gig?
The very first gig I did, which is, in my mind anyway, it's when I was in America. I had to get up in front of the school and I did a talk about the differences between America and Scotland. And, you know, it wasn't stand-up, but in my mind, that was when I'd thought, oh my God, this is... I kind of made it as funny as I could and making people laugh. And I was over there to play basketball, but that kind of 10-minute talk was better than everything else. So that the next kind of 6 years that passed, I kept thinking, I was chasing that kind of thing. So my first gig was literally the So You Think You're Funny competition, because I didn't know about clubs or how you started comedy. And as I know now, I think I talked about this with someone else, there's a kind of political landscape of comedy competitions, and you can have done a few gigs before you enter this. But I thought, this is a newcomers competition. So that was my first ever gig. And then off the back of that, you meet someone else who says, you should meet this person or email this person. It was actually my second ever gig where someone said, you need to email the stand about a night read raw.
Right.
And then that was it. So...
Because for me, it was the same. It was So You Think You're Funny, but it was in Glasgow at Mayfest.
Right.
And I think it was the Observer that sponsored it.
Right.
And they had Pete McCarthy, the late Pete McCarthy, former Perrier winner, was the MC. But we got an afternoon with a bit of coaching from an American comedian called Wendy Harmer, who, you know, Wendy was pretty big news back in those days, and might still well be out in Australia. But for me, having said that, I enjoyed getting laughs with speaking to people.
Yeah.
And I just spoke to somebody in an interview recently about this. It was the physicality of actually holding a microphone,
Yeah.
which I thought, because you would look at a comic on TV, and if they had the microphone, you just thought that's the full package, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to have that, and then I realised maybe it's a bit too phallic, but I just wanted to hold a mic in my hand, and that. So you think you're funny was the first time I did that.
Oh, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one that just kind of went straight for the so you think you're funny thing. And it used to just be advertised in the paper, before internet stuff. But
so the Glasgow one, you had to submit a few lines of your own.
Oh, right.
And Simon Fanshawe, who another Perrier winner, he collated them and then got in touch with you to see if your material was suitable for the competition. Basically, anybody that wrote in got a gig. I thought, I've made it. I'm through the first round.
But I tell you what, the difference of Perrier Award winner vetting people to be in it, Perrier Award winner hosting your first gig. Alan Anderson hosted our one. So
future comedy award winner.
Little joke out there for people that are aware of Alan's work.
Does it work?
In terms
No
of
offence, Alan, if you're ever watching this, it is work.
Very doubtful.
For the audience. I'm joking, man.
In terms of when you get into the comedy there and the career was taking off, was there ever a moment within the comedy career that stands out for you, be it from the kind of radio presenting or a live moment? Was there anything that sprung to your mind about the epitome of a kind of bad gig or a faux pas in a social setting?
Yeah, I mean, people always, nowadays, in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, people say, oh, you can't say anything anymore, right? And I've been at it a long, long time. You can say anything just now, right? And the place to come is a live comedy. Maureen Lipman was saying, you can't see proper comedy anymore. She's never been in a basement comedy club in her life. You can, so, but no, I've never been controversial. I've said a few things that I regret because the nature of comedy is, especially when you're emceeing or something like that, and you're riffing, something can be out before you realise it. We've always said if you stuck a microphone in the Comedy Store dressing room in London, none of us would be working, right? None of us. But it's all about intent rather than content. So, but critical moments, not really. But I mean, we've all died hopelessly on our arse, and it still happens. I did a gig, and it's sort of semi-corporate, and it's through golf, and this guy that I know runs a golf tour company, and I managed to get a gig off him, and the gig is that he puts together a golf package in the spring and the autumn, and it's based in St Andrews, and these people come from all over the world, and they play the Old Course, Kingsbarns, another St Andrews course in Carnoustie, so it's big time.
Aye.
And the reason I got it is because you
got a handicap of 3.
Can you play it? No, it's still the knee. And Iona Stephen, who great golfer and broadcaster, well, she now works at the Masters.
Right.
So this is the week of the Masters. So Freddie got the gig, right? So the first couple of years, they've been great. People from Philippines, Australia, Austria, Wales, England, Canada, America. Yeah. And as it's grown in popularity, the people that come seem to be considerably more wealthy. Right. And this year, half of the 36, in fact, just under half, 16 of them were absolute pissheads from North Carolina. And the other 20 were fathers and sons from the Mormon community in Utah.
Oh, what a face-off.
So, can you imagine standing up, Chris, with your set list and going, right, Jacob, who's 14 over there, isn't going to really get this. And these pissheads, come on, Freddie! And I died my arse.
Oh, God. That's an impossible demographic.
It's impossible to do. But at the back of the room, I could see the guy who's coming in was pissing himself at my torture, right? And you would think after 35 years, what are you going to do, right?
Man.
Surely you've got a bank of material, but your brain's going, your left side's going, that'll work for them. So,
that's...
I don't really know where I'm going with this story, but it's just to let anybody that's into comedy know that at any time in your career, you can die on your arse.
Oh, God. I would normally bring up at some point, and maybe people are expecting it, to say that I bring up Kilwinning most of the time in this podcast, because I did a gig there that was so unbelievably bad. Just complete silence. And they often come at a stage where you feel like you're on a good run of things, and it's a real humbling experience.
Yeah.
But just real silence and stares, and people have heard different elements of the story. But it was one of those ones as well where the organiser had come up to say, your money's here, you're one of these people that's superstitious. And I go, yeah, you don't want to pay it, I'll take the money at the end because you don't want it to go bad. And which he did, but I remember thinking that he'd be going, God, I wonder how bad it would have been if we had paid him before the gig. It was so bad, and like I had to leave. Normally these kind of corporate things, you stay for the. I left. I walked out. No one tried to stop me. But I was doing a gig in Newcastle a couple of weekends ago, and I hadn't realised maybe how often I've mentioned Kilwinning and this horrible experience. But someone came up to me after the gig in Newcastle and went, I just want to know what happened in Kilwinning. I was like, you really don't. I'll never go back.
Yeah. Can I tell you a quick one about just how things travel?
Yeah.
As you know, broke into radio in 97, followed very quickly with TV.
Yeah,
Although I've I got news for you and stuff like that since 95. But 97 was the first time I got a show that had my own name attached to it with Ali. And it was such a huge success that, over here, I couldn't go anywhere without people, where's Ali, right? And I'm sure nobody was saying to him, where's Fred? So we were going out, I was going skiing in Colorado, and I decided that I would stop off in New York and do some gigs, because in 99 I had gone over to do a whole lot of radio interviews with incredible list of people that we interviewed, including Paul Schrader.
Oh, really?
Mr. Taxi Driver, yeah. And one of the Baldwins, not Alex.
One of the other ones.
That was what I introduced him. Ladies and gentlemen, we're delighted to be spending some time here with one of the Baldwins. But Joan Rivers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we interviewed Joan Rivers in her apartment, which was like a stately home. She had the whole floor on the Upper East Side. It was just incredible. But anyway, a couple of years later, I was going skiing, and I stopped off at New York to do some gigs, and one of them was in the Gotham Comedy Club.
Oh, wow.
And the company says, now we've got a visiting guy, he's been here before, you please welcome Fred Macaulay. And, you're thinking, right, there's 150 people here, no idea who I am. And I got my right foot in the stage, and you go, where's Ali?
Is that right?
It's just, what?
What are the chances?
Yeah.
Would have been like Ant and Dec. Would have been like, hey, whoa.
No. I've bumped into Ant and Dec over the years.
Right.
When they're not working and they're still together.
Is that right?
Aye.
I've heard that, because I know one of them had bought a house, and then I think I'd heard them speaking about when Dec went to buy a house, but Ant went with them just to view it. And the house next door was for sale. He says, he says, oh, we'll buy that then. And so they were living next to each other for years as well. That's why you've been over to gig in America a few times, because I feel like you've also told me stories in the past about gigging in LA. Did you not get to do the kind of Magic Circle gig or something?
Well, there's the Comedy and Magic Club at Hermosa Beach, but the Laugh Factory that was I've done that twice. Once was set up for me by the producers of Craig Ferguson's Late Show, just to run out some material to see if and they gave me the gig. Another time I was back, and it was a Sunday night, and you'll think this is racist, but the middle Sunday of the month was called Chocolate Sunday.
Oh, really?
Sundae, right?
Right.
And it was a predominantly black audience.
Yeah.
And but it coincided with Valentine's night
Right.
when I was there. So it wasn't Chocolate Sunday, it was a Valentine's one, but predominantly the audience were a black
Yes.
audience who went there anyway. So this is another dying on my arse. Because and a lot of the material that you hear from the comics out there is race related,
Yeah.
right? And I'm on stage doing whimsical gags about having black Labrador puppies around the house, right? It was a tough gig. I mean, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't there wasn't absolute death, but it was a tough gig. And it was also Oscars weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so which is another story. But yeah, it's a challenge. So even last Wednesday, when I arrived in Boston, Alex Edelman, have you come across Alex?
The American comic?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Alex, who's coming over for the Fringe. And is coming to do one of my chat shows, he got me in touch with the Comedy Lounge over in Cambridge.
Okay.
So to keep myself awake on Wednesday, I was going to go over and do a 10-minute set on the Wednesday night, and the crew were going to come over as well. But I got a phone call from the organizer to say, listen, it's the NBA finals have killed us. Only 12 people have turned up, so we've cancelled the gig. So I didn't get it. But that would have been my second time in Cambridge, Massachusetts, because when we went to Orlando on holiday, we happened to stop off in Boston, and there used to be a chain of clubs called Catch a Rising Star, and you could get 10-minute spots. So I did that in 1992.
Oh, wow.
Just, before I'd given up full-time accounting work.
That's wild.
But I love doing that, and I always have. I've done it in Colorado, Orlando, LA. Obviously, there's loads of clubs out there. It's the challenge, and a little accounting thing. You can write off some of your airfare and hotels, even though you're not getting paid.
There's such a love for Scottish people, as we confirmed at the start as well, and I went over a few times to do a kind of Celtic festival thing. We did a run of 3 years, and by merely being Scottish, sometimes it's a great opener. Really, you don't have to say too much. And the only other place and that was in Pennsylvania, but the one other place I got to do a gig was for my 40th a few years back. We did a road trip, kind of down all the way down South States. We started in Atlanta, Georgia, and drove all the way down to New Orleans. And I did a comedy club in New Orleans on my last night, and it was great, And it's such a different style of comedy, I think. And it's incredible because you think they've all got their own wee cliques and people that they're currently coming up with in that community. But one of the people I was on with, he was called Hyde Park, which the name of London. And I've since kind of I didn't keep in touch with him, but we followed each other, and he's now kind of blowing up, if that's what people
Hyde
say.
Park.
And he's doing maybe it's not Hyde Park. His first name's Hyde, and he's doing incredible. And it's so funny to think, just from doing a little open spot in New Orleans, I've seen this guy, and it looks like he's gonna be massive, So you never know who's going to be at these gigs.
I used to have a line about Hyde Park Corner, which was, don't try them all when you're doing your driving test. Do you get it? Hyde Park Corner. So are we done? Thanks for having me, Chris. You've been amazing. Good luck with it.
The Mormons would have liked it. This is great. I feel like we've really smashed the career section of that as well. Right. And you've done so many different things in your career. And I feel like I just want to quiz you about loads of elements. But let's go to the most vulnerable sometimes of topics, which is the relationship one. Was there anything from a relationship point of view that came to mind when you thought, I shouldn't have done that, or this happened, I wish it hadn't, or I can't stop thinking about this thing?
Yeah, well, not really. But I mean, I was a kind of a shy boy, right? And this is going way back to childhood as well. But there's no lies involved in this, okay? and I was very short.
Right.
I was, I don't know what they did at your school in Scotland, but, November, PE stopped and it became country dancing.
Yes.
And tallest to the left, shortest to the right.
Yeah.
And I was way down at the right. My best pal, and he still is my best pal, I was his best man, he was my best man, Glenn Miller, a name you'll never forget. Glenn was our basketball star.
Oh, really?
He was a rugby star, and he played at a high level in rugby in Scotland for Heriots when they were winning championships. And he didn't make it into the Scotland team, but they used to have the Scotland squad and a training squad, right? So there used to be maybe 40 would get together.
Right.
So he's got all the branded Scotland stuff way back in the day. Glenn was away up there, and I was away down there with Sandy Malice and John Oliver, right? And I think I must have been about 5'2", 5'3" when I left school.
Right.
And then had this not remarkable, but I grew after sixth year.
That's wild.
5'9", as I'm probably receding and going back down to about 5'8" now. But but I, having said I was shy, but I had the humour or a sense of humour, and you would have a kind of idea that some of the girls were within your grasp, right? That you could attain.
Yeah.
You could maybe ask her at the cinema and she would say yes or something. But then there was, she probably wouldn't bother, right? So you kind of set your bar, right? But there was this girl, I won't mention her name, but I really did fancy her in sixth year. But I knew she was out of my league. And there was a pal of mine, and he was a gregarious guy. And I said to him, listen, would you ask her if I'm in with a shout? I realised now after the event that asking somebody to see it is that's a big, it's never going to happen, right? If you've got to do it, you've got to do it yourself. Yeah. That'd be my lesson to anybody. And then I heard years later, he did actually ask her.
Oh, really?
And she said no. Oh. But I heard years later that she did think it was kind of cute, but her bar was set just above 5'2". Right? So if I and I keep saying I grew and also went through puberty when I got to university. Right, I was a very late developer. So maybe if I'd been 6 months on, who knows where that would have led.
How nice to hear though that. Years later, you're like, oh, she did think.
I know. I mean, it was what a boost to my ego. In my late 60s to hear that she actually thought I was quite cute. Yeah.
Do you know? Bizarrely, the opposite was true for me in terms of height, and I speak about it on stage.
You were rejecting girls left, right, and centre.
No. The height thing, and if anything, it made me freakish for the opposite reason. But I did all my growing very early on. It makes sense with the basketball. But I was basically 6 foot when I was 11.
Right.
So
Christ.
I'm basically the same size I am now as I was in primary 7. So going into high school. So girls were staring away from me for a very different reason. They just like, what is this? Who's the janitor here? It was, so I was very awkward.
Yeah.
But thankfully there was a basketball outlet for that. But
Jeez.
Well, I'm glad you grew. I'm glad you grew into yourself.
Yes. And then, and I wasn't, university girlfriends and all that kind of stuff. But I met Aileen because her sister was at uni with me.
Oh, right.
So I met Aileen was the wee sister, and we didn't date or anything like that until I was living and working up in Aviemore, and she used to come up with her friend who was a fantastic skier. Aileen didn't really ever ski, but so we've been together a long, long time.
Yes, aye.
So yeah, until this woman came forward.
Finally.
Yeah.
And not that anyone will care, but it feels like I always like mentioning that when you pointed out that we've both got the same wedding anniversary as well, me and Eleanor and you and Eileen, which is I don't know. I like knowing that.
Yeah,
and there
me
you
too.
go, a bit of random trivia for anyone.
How many years are you now?
Oh, what were we? So we're 7 years.
7, Jesus Christ. 42. 42 years married.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
That's right.
Yeah.
Of course. Do you know what's funny? Just reflecting back on life and the age that my kids were. So when I was going down to London and all the rest of it. And it's only since having grandchildren, right? Because life changed back from when I got the radio show.
Yeah.
I had a much more home and family life. But it's only since having grandchildren kicking about that I remember why I went on the road. It's just, Jesus, they're fucking exhausting. I've got to find something else to do, right?
Oh boy, I always feel, well, and I do, but you do always feel like you have to say, you know, I feel terrible and guilty that I'm away this weekend.
Yeah.
Because you have to travel in comedy and just in Cardiff at the weekend there. And
Yeah.
God, you missed those lie-ins, and I'm going, oh, it's not the same, and I wish I was at home and missing the girls, which I am, but you don't know it's easy when you don't have the chaos.
And the good thing was that all of the sort of change and things happened. I mean, Ian was about 6, and he hated me going away. He was a wee boy that honestly he would clamp his arms around my leg. I practically had to drag him out. Get off! It's horrible. I used to hate it. Oh. And in those days, I would drive to London.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. And you just come down round the roundabout at Strathclyde Park and just head down. You know, you've got about 7 hours ahead of you. And it was torture. Yeah. I hated it.
It's not nice, but nice as you say if you get.
Well,
a
it
good
got
one.
us where we are, Chris.
Well, there you go. Exactly.
Can I say, you just reminded me when you were saying you've got the one coming up at the Fringe.
Oh yes.
My tour last year was going to be called Fred Macaulay, No Podcast Live.
Oh, well, you know, that would be it.
Everybody, the podcast thing now is great. Well done to you.
I feel like I held off for a while. It felt like maybe me, you, and Des Clark were the only 3 that didn't have a podcast. And I thought I better do something. So thank you for letting me try and remain relevant by having some sort of content. Fred, these have all been fantastic. So grateful that you've come onto the show and told us these stories. What have you got coming up? I know the Fringe will be coming up shortly after this comes out, and I know you've got the chat show for one thing.
Yes.
You've got a few things going on at the Fringe.
I'm doing 3 nights of the tour show that I'm out on the road September, October, which I'm really pleased to see is selling well. So I don't have to announce my retirement to try and push people along to that. And the Fringe, so after I've got Newcastle next weekend and then a few other wee things, but I've got a nice period in the run up to the Fringe, so I intend to get my golf handicap
back to 3.
If I can get down to 2.9, that would be amazing.
Well, thank you very much.
Pleasure, Chris.
We'll see you, I'm sure, and our listeners and viewers. Again,
yes.
We have viewers.
It's on YouTube.
It's remarkable. But there is people that will watch podcasts, and God bless you.
Not if they're under 16.
Yes, not for long.
Change,
That was great news. Start a whole new podcast about that. Thank you very much, though, for our listeners, viewers. Thanks to the Stand Comedy Club, to Sean Stables, to Chris Thorburn, the rest of the team with the Stop Watering Dead Flowers, and, of course, our sponsor, Derek Gerard Photography. See you next time. Thank you.